Yes,
Bogdanov, he did it.
he bought.
He went all in.
Dump it.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed that funny little intro there. But today, obviously, I will be covering the very large move that did occur in the market. So finally, we had a big move in Bitcoin after this long period. It seems like it's been forever now that we have been in this sideways market. Now, to a lot of people, this might be a negative thing. However, to me, this is a sign that Bitcoin is still alive and that there's still a lot of people looking at it and trading it. And I am very excited to see where it moves from here. In my opinion, any movement is good movement because that means that we're going to see more action in the near future, depending on how things happen. Anyways, today I'm going to talk about why this occurred and along with some of the crypto news and all of the different situations that could possibly happen because of this move. But before I get into this video, make sure you guys subscribe to this channel as I will be making lots more technical analysis videos in the near future as Bitcoin does go through its whole process and hopefully starts a new uptrend eventually. And also make sure to follow me on Twitter if you guys do want to see some of my live trades on cryptocurrency markets along with Forex markets. And obviously, all of the information in this video is purely for entertainment purposes only, and I highly recommend that you do your own research. Anyways, let's get right into the video. So first off, I wanted to talk about why Bitcoin may have made this move today. A lot of people might have been questioning sort of what could have affected this and what could have made this happen at this specific point in time. Only major news event that I could find that happened today was really just the CBOE futures expiring for Bitcoin. So the CBOE futures are one of the futures that got accepted last year, and obviously whenever a future expires, that can cause some market movement, and we definitely saw that today. I think that could have really just been the tip of the iceberg to make this move finally happen. I think it could have been inevitable in the first place, and I think maybe because of that news, people were getting a little bit scared. That could have just caused that sell-off to happen and finally go through with it. So as you guys can see, all of the dates on screen, there are some more future expirations coming up. So I think it's possible that these could keep it down a little bit. I know one's coming the 30th of November, so we might still be in sort of a downtrend at that point because of these futures expiring. However, I'm still very interested to see how Bitcoin will react in the long term to futures expiring, and if we're always going to see a bear market around the expiration, or maybe in the future we could see different situations occur. However, I do think for the future, we should always watch for future expiration dates as a date for possible large movement or breaking of supports and resistances. Now, one other interesting thing that happened in the market today, one thing that a lot of people are not really looking at in my opinion, is the fact that USD Tether actually went below the $1 mark once again today. So it actually went down to around 90 cents per Tether, and I think one of the main factors to this may have been the fact that people were once again trying to get their money off of Bitfinex and other exchanges, as I think Bitfinex has high withdrawal fees now if you're trying to get US dollar. I think it's something like 10%. So especially for a lot of institutional investors, that might be a wake-up call what happened today. In terms of people wanting to maybe get their money into US dollar in the near future. A lot of people were really trying to get rid of their Tether and get as much US dollar as possible in the case of this bear market, and just to sort of avoid the fees that Bitfinex may be putting on in the future. And I still do think there is sort of the fear factor of USD Tether remaining in the market, although I was surprised to see that we did go all the way back down to $1 per USD Tether after the previous crazy move that we did see in the market. But that was one other thing I just wanted to quickly talk about. Now let's get on to actually looking at Bitcoin. And one thing I want to talk about before we look into Bitcoin and sort of my projections for this short to near term future, I did just want to point out that today was one of the highest volume days we have seen over the past few months. You can see here on Coinbase, we did see around 30,000 Bitcoin volume on Bitcoin USD. So that was very, very impressive to see. I'm happy to see that we are getting the volume that we used to be getting. And once again, a lot of people say that once you get into high volume, that can be a sign of a possible reversal coming up soon, as people may be accumulating or just in general buying a lot of Bitcoin and a lot of Bitcoins being transacted. So in general, good volume, in my opinion, is a very, very positive thing, no matter what outlook you're looking at it from. So I wanted to point that out. However, now I want to get into why Bitcoin crashed from the technical analysis level. So obviously, on a lot of my previous videos, I had been talking about these higher lows that we had been seeing on Bitcoin. And I always said that was very, very important, as I thought that would determine sort of where the trend would end up going towards the end of the year. And obviously, I think the fact that we did end up breaking these higher lows on Bitcoin, which is something that we have not seen in a while now, I think the fact that we broke that does turn this very, very bearish. And I think the market obviously reacted equally as scared as I was to this break of the higher lows. So I think the fact that we did end up breaking this on the midterm does make Bitcoin very, very bearish. And so now we are seeing Bitcoin retest these major support levels from previous all-time lows of Bitcoin. And I thought this was extremely, interesting to see. I thought it was interesting that we did actually go right below one of these major supports, maybe for a few minutes, or at least this candle wicked below it. So I thought that was also interesting. However, I did also want to point out that I saw this on Twitter. This is also the 7-year all-time low for the RSI on the 1-day Bitcoin. So that means on the 1-day period on Bitcoin, this is one of the lowest RSI levels we have seen in a very, very long time. That's just another indicator that might be possibly pointing towards a reversal coming up soon, although you never know what's going to happen. And obviously, there are a lot of possibilities that could happen from a move like this, especially happening so fast. And obviously, one major contributor to this move was liquidations of a lot of longs. So I think a good amount of people were really, really longing at this point right here on Bitcoin. And I think once it fell through, a lot of people got liquidated, and that caused a long squeeze where all of the longs were getting liquidated and it was forced to sell. And so that sort of magnified the move. I really think that's why this move caused so much damage, why it went so low in the first place. And so obviously, I think because of this move, because we did fall through it, I think we could be seeing I think we could test some other levels on the long-term support of Bitcoin. So I think if we do look right here on the long term of Bitcoin, we could be testing a lot of these possible levels down here. Personally, this was my long-term projection of Bitcoin as a bottom total. I thought Bitcoin would be at around 3,000 to 5,000 as the long-term bottom. However, for now, I think we could see a lot of buy pressure in this zone before we do go any lower. I think this is another possible zone of very, very high risk. I think we're going to see a lot of buy pressure in this zone before we really officially break this downtrend support. However, one other possibility that I did want to talk about is the short-term Bitcoin possibilities. So obviously, with a lot of these situations that I'm talking about, that would assume that Bitcoin goes through all of these support levels. And what happens if Bitcoin goes up? So I think in the chance that Bitcoin goes up, meaning we see a full retrace of this crash, I think we could be extremely bullish on the way back up. I think people have definitely heavily shorted Bitcoin at this point because so many people are bearish on Bitcoin right now, especially after breaking this major support. And I think if there was maybe a whale or something like that who ended up just buying a bunch of Bitcoin, that could cause a short squeeze. Basically, a bunch of shorts could get liquidated because I feel like a lot of people have high leverage shorts at this point. And if someone were to buy, I feel like it could cause a short squeeze. And I think we would see a lot of buy pressure if we ended up getting back above this support level. So that's something I would definitely watch out for. If we do see some sort of retrace of this move, I think we would be extremely bullish on Bitcoin. I think we could see, a move maybe up to 7,000 or, something pretty large if we did see a retrace, because one of the biggest things you can see in a market whenever breaking through a support is a retrace. So if there's a major trend that gets broken because of a move and then you see a retrace or rejection of that move, I think that's one of the largest bullish indicators that you could possibly see, because it's saying even though the market tested one of these really risky levels of going below a major support, it was still able to fight back and get above that level and go all the way back up, meaning that there's a lot of buy pressure and a lot of people trying to get a position in that currency or coin. So I think it could be extremely interesting if we did see a retrace. However, the more likely option is obviously that we do stay in this zone until eventually moving into the $5,000 to $3,000 zone until we do get into the long-term uptrend. Anyways, guys, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something about what happened today, and hopefully now you know a little bit of what to expect in the near future. I do just want to say that Signal Trader is still in development. We are planning to launch in December, so that's going to be very exciting. And make sure you guys leave comments on where you think Bitcoin will bottom and if next year will be bullish for Bitcoin. I would love to hear what you guys have to think about that. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys in the next one.